Hello, my name is Kern, and welcome to a 4-minute deck guide. This is Izzet Spells Aggro. The very first thing you might notice about this list is that there is absolutely zero removal, not even soft removal, such as Fading Hope. We don't care, because we are about winning and going face as fast as possible, and this is probably the best deck in the entire format for doing that. It's the best aggressive strategy, at least that I've seen, compared to anything else on the ladder. It absolutely stomps all of the black decks. So we don't want to play any cards that don't directly relate to damage to face. Sometimes cards like Fading Hope or removal like Lightning Strike can be nice for removing blockers, but we don't really care about that because we have enough other forms of evasion. So let's take a look at the deck strategy. First of all, it's very centered around these 16 creatures, which present most of the damage that we're going to be doing to our opponent's face, and the rest of our damage comes from pumping those creatures up by casting spells. So we have 4 Delver of Secrets, which we can very consistently flip in this deck, 4 Electrostatic Infantry that gets bigger every time we play a spell and has trample, Balmor that pumps our entire board every time we play a spell and gives everything trample, and Haughty Djinn, which has flying, so it has nice evasion itself, and its power gets greater the more spells we cast throughout the game, and it applies a nice cost reduction effect. With 16 copies of these creatures, that's actually quite a lot for a spells deck like this, but what it does mean is that we can very consistently find meaningful creature threats, and if we can't, well, we have 16 other cards that represent a very good card selection package. So they're going to have nice synergy in the deck because every time we cast spells, we gain benefits and we grow our board. But also, it helps us to find more spells to cast and to find other creature threats if that's what we need. So we have 4 Consider, 4 Impulse, 4 Reckless Impulse, and 4 Rob the Archives. This is definitely the most questionable include in the deck. I have found that this is the best of the options that we currently have in Standard, and this is the card most likely to be replaced when we get new cards when Brothers comes out in, November? In like a month from now. This is worse than Reckless Impulse because you have to play the exiled cards by the end of turn instead of Reckless Impulse allowing you to do it by the end of next turn, which is a very, very big difference. It means it's really hard to cast this turn 3. There's no reason to cast it turn 2. And otherwise, you're really looking for this kind of later on in the game to help finish it out. But it is still so valuable to us that we want to play it for this kind of effect rather than some of our other options for cantrips. Sometimes we do get to copy it with its casualty effect. Say that's one utility for top decking a Delver that otherwise might not be quite as useful in our quote-unquote late game, which for this deck is like turn 5. Otherwise, the game is way, way too late for us to win, and we should have won by then, and then we're probably dead already. Speaking of, we win by turn 5. That's our strategy for getting around things like Meathook Massacre, is we just don't give our opponent enough turns to actually play it. Even if our opponent does play Meathook Massacre, then there are things that we can do about that. We can grow our Electrostatic Infantry big enough that it doesn't matter. Haughty Djinn itself already has 4 toughness, and so if they really can cast that turn 6 or maybe earlier with some ramp, then we might say shore it up and give it an extra toughness. So there are ways that we can punish our opponent for trying to play a early Meathook Massacre if they do that. Otherwise, all our deck consists of is 4 Shore Up and 2 Twinferno. Twinferno really acting as our game finisher. It's just here really to add double strike, and most of the time the creature that it's enchanting will either be unblockable, like Haughty Djinn because our opponent might not have a flyer, or it will have trample because of Electrostatic Infantry's effect or because of Balmor's pump and gain trample effect. Shore Up obviously acts as a little bit of protection, which sometimes we use it for that purpose, but honestly most of the time we're just end up adding damage to the board. A lot of the time this will be worth at least 2 damage, if not more, because it'll either grow Electrostatic Infantry, Haughty Djinn, or Balmor when you play it, and this can actually be a very big difference in closing out the games by turn 5. That's the 4-minute deck guide. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you in the next one.